Hi, I am Lisa of Sew Lisa Lamb, and this is a film on how to saddle stitch an adjustable shoulder strap. And by adjustable shoulder strap, I mean a strap that looks like this. So this rather pretty strap has PU tabs. It's got swivel clips at the end to attach to your bag. It's got the all-important slider, and at the other end it's got a rectangle ring that attaches to the other end. This rectangle ring on adjustable shoulder straps is not obligatory, but actually it looks really smart. It kind of looks quite posh, and it does make the adjustable strap easier and nicer to use. So this strap, very professional looking though it is actually handmade. So it's actually part of a kit for a bag that I'm going to be launching next week. So sorry, I can't show you the bag today, but I do want to show you how to make the strap, because I know that even for when you're just machine sewing a shoulder strap, an adjustable shoulder strap, I know that lots of people do get flummoxed with what to do with the slider, where to weave your strap, how to loop everything over, how to attach what ring to what thing, and so on. So this video would be relevant to pretty much anyone who wants to make an adjustable shoulder strap. So, but this is from a kit, so I'm going to show you what you get in the kit contents to make this particular strap, and I'll show you the bits and bobs are on my table right now. So what you'll get in the kit is a long piece of webbing, a shorter piece of webbing, 2 PU tabs and trigger hooks to go with them. You'll get the extra rectangle ring, and you'll get the all-important slider. Extra things that you'll need are ruler and fabric marker, and sewing clip would be very useful. In the kit you will get your threads and you'll get your needles anyway. Okay, so where to start? Let's bring the camera up to me. Okay, so the first thing you'll do is you'll pick up your slider. You'll have your slider right side up, and you're going to take the long webbing piece and you're going to thread it through the slider like so. So slider right side up, and you're going to thread the slider from the wrong side up to the right side, like that. Is that clear? And you're going to, so one thing I'll say is the good thing about using webbing, for straps is it's strong, so you don't need to worry about interfacing anything. You don't need to worry about durability. And the other lovely thing is the webbing is easy to source for the width of hardware that you might be using. So this is a 1.5-inch wide slider, so I have 1.5-inch wide webbing. But perhaps the best thing is, with webbing, there is no right side or wrong side. So you don't need to concern yourself with, oh, am I using the webbing right? Because there's a little bit of weaving in and out. So just one less thing to worry about is the fact that webbing's got no right side or wrong side. So as I said before, you're going to take this free end and then you're going to bend it back on itself. But you're going to bend it back on itself over the central bar of the slider and then out under the edge, so that now what I've got is this situation here, see? And now we'll want to sew this end down onto the webbing so that I can trap this slider in situ. And I think, whether you're machining or hand sewing, that this length ideally should be 2.5 centimeters to 3 centimeters long. This is because this length, 2.5 to 3.5, gives you enough room for your machine foot to gain access, and obviously for your hand sewing. And also it's not so long that the slider is just going to be wiggling about all over the place. So what is a good thing to do is when you stitch this end down, it's good to sew it 1 centimetre away from the edge. And I know you can't see it that well, but what I've already gone and done is I've taken my ruler and I have used my white fabric marker and I've marked a faint line. Because I'm going to be hand sewing, I'm not as confident in hand sewing a perfectly straight line as I would be if I were machine sewing. So I guess if you're machine sewing, you wouldn't need to. Well, it doesn't hurt to sew guidelines, but if it makes your life easier, then by all means go for it. But because I'm hand sewing, I want this to look really, really nice. I have marked myself a nice stitch line there. No shame or the gain. Okay, so I'm going to take my thread, and for this occasion, this is mentioned in the instructions for the booklet for this kit. Don't worry about this now, but just worth saying, 35 centimeters long for this thread. I'm not really going to discuss in this video about thread lengths because that is covered in another video about saddle stitching that I've done, saddle stitching for complete beginners. And if you are a complete beginner, I would say it's very worth looking at. It's nice and easy to follow, and it covers the basics as if you've never saddle stitched before in your life. Okay, so what the first thing I've done is I've taken the thread from wrong side to right side to the outer edge, and I'm going to actually wrap it around the strap outer edge because this wrapping stitch looks nice and also adds reinforcement. Then it looks like that. And I'm not going to stitch all of this because I want this video to be reasonably quick. I haven't figured out how to speed things up in a video. I'm not a video editing whiz. I'm never going to be. I'd rather be doing more sewing than learning all of that. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to hand sew part of it so that you get the general gist of what I'm doing. That's my lovely husband in there. He never ever waves when he walks past. I know he's waving in his heart. He's going to tell me off for that later. Anyway, yeah, back to this. So stitching. Obviously, when you're at home, you'll be taking extra care to ensure that you're sewing along your lovely marked line and that your hand stitches are all pretty much the same size, and that your stitches are lovely and even, not wibbly wobbly like mine. So there you go. That is pretty much the first stage. So you're going to sew up the line, you're going to do your wrapping stitch at the end, and then you're going to trim your threads. And for this particular stage, rather than just back stitching and then gluing your threads to the sew line, which is what I usually advise you to do in the kits, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to end your stitches by doing the usual back stitching. Don't worry if this doesn't make sense now. If you've used one of my kits before, this will make sense, but I'm assuming that by the time you've gotten the kit and you're watching the video, this is making sense to you. Okay, apologise for my super ugly stitching at the back. So after back stitching, rather than trimming and gluing, what I'm doing is I'm pushing the needle out in between the webbing and the webbing end, and then pulling it out here. So then what I can do then, and I'll do that with the other thread. I'm ending my stitches now, folks. So what I'm doing is now my threads are exiting between this little seam here, and then I can trim to about ½ centimetre or so. Then I can glue these little ends and then tuck them in, and then no one's the wiser, and that looks nice and neat. Okay, right, so that is pretty much step one. The next thing we're going to do, so now we've got ugly stitching, sorry. Now we've got a webbing slider secured to one end of the long webbing. The next thing to do is to take your rectangle ring, and I've now, so I've got that flappy bit facing up to the sky. I'm lay it down on the table. So flappy bit facing up to the sky, and everything is not twisted. No twisting. We do not want twisting anywhere. I'm going to thread the rectangle ring. I'm just going to thread it onto the long bit of webbing. I haven't done anything special. I've just threaded it onto the long bit of webbing. And then I'm going to take this free end here. No twisting again, remember, I emphasize no twisting at all. And then I'm going to take the free end of the webbing and I'm going to thread it through the slider. So up, so from the wrong side, and then back down the over side, over the bar, like so. So look, but this is what I've just done. So there's the ring that I threaded on just now. That's dangling down in space. Look, no twists, no twists, no twists. And at the top there is that long end threaded back through the slider. So that leaves me with this nice long end here. So see, I can already have fun with pulling the slider up and down this big non-twisted loop. Very important. Okay, so now I've done that, I can put this down on the table for a moment, and I'm going to pick up one of these tabs and a trigger hook, and I'm going to get the trigger hook and then put it onto the central part of this tab. And I do that by just, because the PU is, oh, it's so spongy and soft and pliable. It's really, really nice. Not only is it super comfortable to touch, it's really, really comfortable to work with as well. Okay, so there we are. We now have trigger hook on the center, and so what's going to happen is I'm going to fold these two bits, and I'm going to inside these two halves, I'm going to take this long end, and by the way, identical on both sides, so it doesn't matter which is the right or the wrong side because they're both the same. I'm going to take this webbing end and I'm going to trap it inside this PU tab, and you want to be super careful how you place it. So obviously we can't have this scenario where it's overlapping. I hope it's not too dark for you folks. That's the trouble with fading British light in the winter. And then you want to make sure that when you trap the webbing inside this PU tab, that the sew holes that your needle is going to catch through all of the webbing, and at the same time you want to make sure everything is central. So there are sew holes just here. I know that everything's dark so you can't see, but trust me, there is a line of sew holes here, and you want to ensure that your webbing short end just about is placed just beyond those sew holes so everything catches. And when you look closely, you will notice tiny corners of the webbing just here, and that's fine. They're tiny. Don't trim them, by the way. They're tiny, but it's kind of comforting to see them, because if you can see them, then you know that with your needle is going to catch through the webbing short edge when you stitch through these sew holes. So as you might have guessed, like I say, take your time to ensure that everything matches. And if you like, what I like to do is I like to get a needle and push the needle through everything to make sure that these sew holes for both layers align each other beautifully, because when you take the time to do that, it makes sewing so much quicker and so much faster, because your needle is not battling to get through layers, because everything is lined up as it should be, so it helps your needle to glide through your sewing. Okay, right, so the next step is to saddle stitch this PU tab to the webbing. So as I did before, I'm not going to saddle stitch around the whole thing because that would simply take too long, but I'm just going to do a couple of stitches just so you get a sense of what it is that you need to do to attach the PU tab onto the webbing. And feel free to use more sewing clips as well as you know, to hold the layers together. This is such a lovely way to finish the webbing ends. It's really nice. It looks really posh, and the major benefit is it's very strong. So I'll just do one more saddle stitch. Very straightforward. All you're going to do is you're just going to saddle stitch around the whole square of sew holes, and you're going to end your stitches and trim at the wrong side. So if you stitch all around this tab, what you'll get is this. Okay, right, so I'm going to finish there and then show you the next step. So let's pretend I have stitched all around that. Okay, so what do we have now? So at one end, just camera up. So at one end we've got the rectangle ring. No looping, no twisting, no twisting, no twisting. Then we've got a right side up slider. And then we've got the PU tab, which we've just stitched on. So now we're going to add something to this end because this end is now finished. So with the strap right side up, we're going to take the shorter bit of webbing. Let's face the table again. We're going to take the shorter bit of webbing and we're going to thread it through the rectangle ring. And then we're going to line up the short edges of that short piece of webbing that we've just attached there. We're going to match those edges beautifully and put them down on the table for a moment. And we're going to take our other PU tab and other swivel clip, thread the swivel clip onto the center of the PU tab like we did before. Boom. Fold that in half. Oops, let's get the trigger hook in the right position. That would really help. Fold that in half, wrong sides together. And then we're going to take, so the shorter, so like I say, the shorter webbing bit is attached to that, rectangle ring. And we're going to take the folded PU tab. And as before, we're going to take our time and fold and encase those webbing ends inside this PU tab. And really, the secret to stitching this comfortably and more quickly is to take your time with aligning all edges beautifully and sewing holes beautifully. Really, the longer you take zhuzhing and adjusting and fixing, the more comfortable everything is. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my quilt clip and I'm just going to get needle as well and just have a fish, see if everything, yes, look, everything lines up really nicely. Let's do the same on the other side, making sure that that webbing short edge is placed slightly beyond the sew holes on this edge of the PU. So I've got my needles in there, I've got my sew clip, then now I know that it's okay to get my sewing needles and then sew around the PU tab like I did with the other end. And if I do that, then look, so this is the same on my finished strap with a rectangle at the end and the loops that's double layered there. And then that's that. So I hope that was clear. Any questions, you know where to find me. You can find me on the So Lisa Lamb chat group. I'm always happy to help. Just let me know if anything didn't make any sense. I hope that was useful. And I will be on Sewing Street on December the 3rd, launching the bag that has this really rather lovely strap. So I think this strap is really rather lovely because it goes on a really rather lovely bag. Hope to see you there, and thanks for watching. Bye.